It's my pleasure to welcome Caren Goldberg, Marie Curie Research Fellow at la Universidad de Sevilla, Spain. Caren's paper was recently accepted for publishing in Human Resource Management. The paper title is When Words Are Not Enough, the Combined Effects of Autism, Meta-stereotypes and Recruitment Practices Aimed at Attracting Autistic Job Seekers. Caren's co-author was Evan Willham, a student at George Mason University in the United States. Caren, welcome to the interview with HRM.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Why is your study important? What is the problem that led you to research this?
Well, there are a few things. Firstly, as I was reading some of the research on autistic candidates, particularly in recruiting, a lot of it focused on the assumption that we should be trying to get autistic people to disclose their autism diagnosis in order to get accommodations. And the reality is that a very large portion of the autistic population does not want to disclose their autism diagnosis. And so our focus was on how can we better, how can we help organizations who want to attract autistic candidates without putting the onus on the candidate to disclose that they're autistic.
So what did you find?
What we found, we looked at two specific factors. The first is what we call meta-stereotypes. And meta-stereotypes are the beliefs that a marginalized group has about how other people see them. So, you know, if I'm a woman, I might not feel that women are too emotional, but I have a meta-stereotype because I know that the people who aren't in that group, i.e. men, may see women as being more emotional. And similarly, with regard to autism, autistic people know what it's like to be autistic, but they also have very clear views on how neurotypical people view autistic people. And so we wanted to look at how meta-stereotypes that autistic people have about how other people see them influence their job-seeking intentions. In addition, we wanted to look at what organizational practices can organizations engage in to attract people who are autistic. And we also looked at how those two interact. And what we found was there is, in fact, an interaction. So organizations need to both say that they are actively interested in recruiting autistic people, but they but saying that alone isn't particularly helpful unless it's also accompanied by autistic-friendly benefits. And in this case, we looked at work from home opportunities because we did a focus group, and that's what autistic people said would be most beneficial was the opportunity to work from home. So when we combined specifically worded diversity statements that said, you know, we do not discriminate specifically with respect to physical or mental disability, as well as offered work from home opportunities, that resulted in the most favorable perceptions among autistic applicants in terms of how well they would fit, and then ultimately in terms of whether they would be likely to apply for a job at the organization. We looked at autistic people's meta-stereotypes, and there is a range. So some autistic people feel that the neurotypical population views them very negatively, and some don't have quite as negative meta-stereotypes. And what we found out is for people who have extremely negative meta-stereotypes, nothing helps. You know, it's what we called them effectively the hopeless people, that there is a population of autistic candidates that feels that no matter what accommodations are provided by an employer, they are still not going to be able to do their jobs to the best of their ability. So that was the role that the combined effect of the meta-stereotype plus the organizational efforts to attract autistic candidates.
Why does that matter theoretically? What is the theoretical contribution of your research?
Theoretically, I think it's important because historically, if you look at the research, there's very little research that's been done in the HR community. There's a little bit more in developmental psychology, but within the HR community, most of the focus on autistic employees and autistic applicants has been on encouraging disclosure. And we kind of want to move the literature a little bit away from that because given that autistic people often don't disclose or don't want to disclose, we need to look for other theoretical ways to encourage more research on autistic candidates.
What do your results mean for HR policy or the practice of HR?
I think there's a couple of implications. First is, as organizations with any sort of protected characteristic, whether it's gender or race or disability or this specific disability, saying that you want to attract applicants in a particular group doesn't really do very much. Because for an autistic person, if an organization says they're interested in attracting autistic candidates, seeing that doesn't do a whole lot to motivate them to apply or feel like, hey, I'd fit here. But if they offer that in tandem with the opportunity to work from home, that adds an extra bit of information to the autistic candidate that says, okay, not only do they say they want to recruit autistic people, but also they are providing accommodations that would be useful to me so that I could do my job to the best of my ability.
That really sounds great, and I'm pretty sure that practitioners will take this into consideration. I would like to thank you again for your time, Caren, for this interview, and I hope to see you again soon on another topic.
Great, thank you.